All right, we are live for another episode, and today's guest, I've been wanting to have him on for a while, and now, he has arrived. On today's episode, alongside co-host Bianca Léger, we interview a creator, artist, designer, chasing his dreams and sparking minds that will change the world. Welcome to the Winner Circle, Pedro Reis.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Thank you for being here. It's our pleasure.
I'm happy our schedules have aligned and we're here
Yes.
now. And the goal with these episodes is to really uplift, inspire, and empower all those listening along to have greater faith on their hero's journey ahead as we explore your hero journey, the hero's journey that got you to where you are today. It's a very positive conversation that we're about to have. And the first question sets us up as such. What do you love about your world right now, Pedro? Not about the external world, but what do you love about your personal world right here and now?
I love that I'm able to do what I want, to be around the people I want, and really have the flexibility to have the loved ones around me and kind of make time for what's important to me. I guess that's probably the most important right now for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what is important to you? What is important to you, Pedro?
Obviously, we all say this, but obviously being happy, being truly happy with your everyday life. It's, a lot of people, we think we're happy or we feel happy, but then we find these things that kind of block us or these obstacles in front of us that we kind of fall into these ruts, like I speak about lots and I think just being truly happy with your everyday life, the process you go through, the ups and downs, and the people around you is really important to truly be happy around that.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. One way that we get to know our guests is to discuss their mission. So corporations have missions and it guides them in all that they do. And we as individuals, I feel, ought to be aware of our mission. And that is the overriding mission that guides us in our lives. And so in your life, that's your mission as a creator, an artist, a designer, as a Muay Thai specialist, as a brother, as a son, as a friend, as a partner. What is your overarching mission that guides you in all that you do, that serves as your North Star?
I think just being, I'm a very positive, obviously I have a very positive energy around me when I'm around you and around all these people. I know that I can impact people. I know that I influence people in the right way. So with whether it's, like you said, whether it's in Muay Thai, whether it's my art, whether it's my jobs that I have, I know that I'm here for a reason. I know that my energy is positive, and I really just want to pass my positive energy around to as many people as I can and influence as many people as I can to become more positive, to spread more love. So to me, that's very important.
Mm-hmm. And what are the ways you're doing that right now?
I think I'm always, the way I talk to people, the way I kind of, not everybody every time, of course, but I try to give everybody some advice and just kind of be positive and uplift everybody whenever I can and help people with little things that maybe they don't realize that are simple to do. And I think just being happy and being, fun and laughing and being, these little things, I think the positive energy that is contagious, right? So I think my positive energy, helps other people, uplift other people as well, right? So
mm-hmm. Absolutely, it does. It's contagious, and yours definitely is. In this conversation we're having now, but every time I see you in person at the gym or at your studio, wherever, it's infectious. So thank you for shining bright, Pedro.
Appreciate that.
This podcast is called Welcome to the Winner Circle, and winning, to myself and Bianca, is embracing the process, the journey. We live in a society that is very destination oriented. When I get this job, when I get this car, when I get this relationship, when I get this house, when I get this XYZ, this material possession, I'll be happy. And then when we get there, there's maybe a temporary happiness, and then there's always a now what. And so for me, going for your win is by just embracing the process, stepping into your best self now, and being patient and enjoying the journey. What does winning mean to you? And what does going for your win look like for you in your life today?
So you have a good point there that I speak about lots as well, is the I call it almost the cookie cutter lifestyle, or the cookie cutter life that we're raised to follow, to go after, right? It's go to school, get a good job, get married, have kids. That is what, not everyone, not every family, not every parents, of course, but my parents did. Like, just, it's a typical thing that we all are told to do, whether it's in school, whether it's our parents or family and friends. And so, it's that nice car, like you said, it's that nice house, it's that, so we all have that in mind, and we all kind of chase that, I think, whether we want to or not. It's just that thing that we're supposed to do almost, right? And and I did the same for years and years, until probably my early 30s, until I transitioned from my 9-to-5 job from my career to what I'm doing now. And it really changed, because my goals or my happiness was getting that new house or getting that new car, and it was very cookie cutter, if you want to call it that, where once I jumped and kind of started doing my own thing, started doing the clothing line on my own. I had the meal prep company as well at the time. Once I did that, that's when I started to really transition, and I started to do the artwork. That kind of fell in my lap almost by accident. So I think, that being said, is when I finally started doing my own thing, when I finally started, chasing happiness or changing what happiness was when I was able to be free and not follow these footsteps of what we're supposed to do, right? I started to kind of do what fell in my lap, what kind of naturally came to me, like I said, the artwork, the clothing, and it changed my perspective a lot on what made me happy and what I wanted to do, what my goals were. And so I guess now, to answer your question, making me happy is just being able to wake up and be, like I said, be around certain people, being around the right people, and just, money, cars, houses, all that doesn't make me happy. Of course, we all want that still. We still want that. We still need that. But that's not the focus anymore. The focus is really just making this art, and not just art, but of course, right now for me it's art, but creating pieces, inspiring people, seeing people's eyes and the comments and the reaction to what I'm doing is so rewarding. When I make memorial pieces for people, obviously, we'll get into that, I guess, later, but why I'm doing what I'm doing, or how I started doing what I'm doing, is because of my father. And so, making these memorial pieces for people are one of the most, meaningful parts of my job. And it's so rewarding. And so that to me is happiness. That to me fulfills me, making people happy, seeing their smiles, seeing their reaction. So that, I guess, I don't know if that answers your question, but that to me is just, and I guess a big part that I'm missing, sorry, is the growth, to continue to grow, to evolve, to just do more. Like, I don't want to just make the pieces I just said I was making, right? But I want to continue to grow and make different style pieces and inspire people more. And like I said, it's the growth, it's the journey, like you said, is very important to enjoy. I know we all say this as well, as enjoy the process and not the final, not the end result. We all want the end result. We all want to get there. We still want that. But I think it's important to, and I think too many people say, just enjoy the process. The end is not important, but both are important. I think we do want that result, that goal, that dream, that whatever it is, but too many people miss out on and don't appreciate the process of getting there, the hard work, the obstacles that it takes to get there, right? So, and that's one thing that's changed a lot for me, is really appreciating that and respecting the process and those obstacles and those ups and downs that we'll probably get into later, right? So
yeah,
that's the question, but that's
no, that's beautifully said, Pedro. And on the topic of winning, now that you define that for us a little bit more, Let's give you an opportunity. I know you're a very humble guy, but I want to present the stage for you just to offer up what are some of your biggest wins. And then just kind of like you said, those biggest wins were probably not like external, they're probably more internal. But let's hear it from you. What have been some of your biggest wins? What are some of the accomplishments that you've achieved that you are most proud of so far?
I think I guess just being in the position that I'm in, being able to travel, being able to, literally I can wake up and I'm very busy and I got a lot of projects always on the go, but I can wake up and do what I want. I can wake up and go meet somebody for coffee or for lunch. I can get on this Zoom call. Obviously it took a long time, but I can kind of work to get on these, I have the flexibility to kind of do what I want. I'm able to travel. I'm able to spend time with my family, pick up my nephews from school. But I think, just having this freedom is so important. And that's a huge win for me, to really enjoy your everyday life and really, have that flexibility is important. I think, it's tough when you might be successful with these big other styles of wins, but you're kind of stuck in your, whether it's certain hours or whether it's, a certain city or whether it's a certain, so being able to be flexible and kind of work with how I do what I do is very important to me. And I guess like to talk more about growth or more about the wins, I've grown a lot, my social media, my presence, my following, my fans, my support, has grown tremendously. And that is a huge win for me, just to have that support, to have people that growth and that evolvement, it's super cool. It's super, super rewarding. Like I said, so that's a huge win as well.
Beautiful. Well, I'm happy to celebrate those with you. And now I'm excited to take a look at the origin story, how you got to hear all these amazing things we have heard so far, this wisdom, these insights, how you got to the position where you are in now. We can go back as far as you wish, but let's get into the origin story that brought you to the man you stand today.
Well, we can go way back, but that'll be another couple hours of no. But I guess let's go back to my last career that I had. I was in the car industry. I was a used car operations manager at BMW. Amazing job. Truthfully, I didn't think I would ever leave that industry or that company. Working for BMW was amazing. I had, the team, the people around me, my friends, my teammates were amazing, super supportive, super fun to be around. The company was great. So many perks, one of the best companies to work for in the car industry, in my opinion. The pay was great. It was good. It was, good, great, but it was, I did well. There was so many perks to the job. I drove $100,000 BMWs every day. It was a really cool lifestyle. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would ever leave that lifestyle. I thought I would just move up in the chain, right, and get higher position and so that's kind of was my cookie cutter lifestyle that I was envisioning, right? It was okay. I'll work my way up and obviously get paid more and do some different, get into different positions, and that was, I thought I was set in a sense where that was going to be my life. My dad, what ended up happening is my dad passed away about 7 years ago now. And when he passed away, it was a sudden, out of nowhere, he had a heart attack. And so it was very, very tragic for our family. Excuse me. So, that hit me very hard. And I guess I'm a very emotional, loving, caring guy. And so long story short, I wanted to do something in honor of him. So I made a t-shirt for me and my brother with a pocket here with a picture of him. And I did that for, I believe, Remembrance Day, a few months after he passed away. And my brother and my sister loved it. My mom loved it. It was great. And then my sister wanted one, so I made her one. And then I decided one day at work to kind of create a little bit of a logo and maybe put a tag on it or make a hat. I made some hats as well. And I've always been a creative person. I never considered myself an artist, but I've always been creative. I've always started up little businesses, and I've always been an entrepreneur in a sense, and I've always been into fashion and clothing. And so I created this logo, which is my dad's signature. I took my dad's signature off of his old driver's license. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, and I created the Ray logo, which is my last name, Reis, our last name, but minus the S. I took off the S because Reis means kings, and then when I remove the S, Ray means king. So Ray means king, which is in honor of my dad. So I took his signature, which I have a logo I'll show you after, but the signature here I have. But and I created this logo, Ray, which is the logo that you see it right here. So, and I created this logo, and I put on hats, and I made some tags for the t-shirts, and I made 10 or 15 hats and maybe like 2 or 3, 5 t-shirts. And I gave them to some family members and some friends that knew my dad really well. And they loved it. They were ecstatic. My dad was also very similar to me in a sense where I'm very similar to him in a sense where he had so much energy. He was loved by everybody. He was just a jokester, always joking. He was always going to these Portuguese clubs, going for coffees, meeting people, going for lunches, and everyone just loved talking to my dad. And he really had this strong, positive energy. So when I made these hats for everybody and these t-shirts, everyone loved them. And so I made more. So I kept making more, and now people wanted to buy them off me. Long story short, I started a little brand called Ray Clothing, and I made hats, t-shirts. I put t-shirts with his face on it, with his pictures on it, and I made some really stylish ones with no pictures on it, just like some really good fabrics. So I started a little clothing brand. So while I was working at BMW, I had this little clothing brand on the side. I also had a meal prep company that I had started as well. So I'm kind of juggling, everything at the same time. I did well at BMW. I had a really good position, and I did well in my position. But then I also had this clothing line, and then I also had this meal prep company, and I'm kind of juggling all three together. So my job didn't really like that, and I knew I could do more with the two that I had. So I had to make a really big decision. So this, dream job in the sense that I had, that I didn't think I would ever leave, I would continue to grow in this company, I had to make this decision. So long story short, I decided to leave. So I left. I started this. I pursued my clothing and my meal prep, and that was a struggle at first. It was like most people when they jump into their little business, it was a rocky road. It was ups and downs, and 1 month I did really well. 1 month I made no money. So I had a few months like that, and then that's kind of when the art fell in my place. Stephen Hua, if you know who that is, Derek. I don't know if you guys know who Stephen is.
Yeah.
I always give him a shout out. I always give him respect and props for what he's done. I've worked with him for years in the nightlife industry. I've bartended with him for years, worked in nightclubs with him. He's a big promoter, a big nightclub owner. And he asked me to do some artwork. And at the time when I was doing a little bit of artwork, I was posting a little bit of the small stuff I was doing, because I was not an artist yet in my eyes. And so he reached out to me, asked me if I could make 10 pieces or 15 pieces for this new lounge, Prohibition. And I was like, oh, wow. And I because I've never made these big pieces. But I said, yes, let's do it. So this is kind of the start of where you just accept something and know that you have to do it. And it's a big step forward. You knew that it was, that's something that's great, that it can help you grow, but you're scared to jump in a sense. But I did it. I said, yes, let's do it. So I started kind of working with him, and I made 15 pieces for this lounge. I did a mural on a wall. I did some bathroom stuff on the stalls. I painted the bathroom stalls with this graffiti stuff. And then that kind of helped me grow. That's kind of the real start. And that's kind of the transition to, from my industry, the car industry to the art industry. And from that is when I started to really grow and get recognized as an artist. And it's kind of funny because the first opening, the first week of this lounge, this nightclub lounge, I had an art show. I said, let's do an art show. So I made 20 more pieces, and I had been an artist for 6 months, but I did an art show. I said, let's go. Like, it's pretty cool, because again, when you put your mind to something and you just believe in yourself, it's pretty cool what you can do. So yeah, I had this art show, first week or second week of this lounge being open, invited all my friends, family, and I just continued from there. And that's kind of how I started this art industry. and I just started to grow slowly. And there was a lot of steps, a lot of processes, a lot of mistakes, a lot of ups and downs to grow and to continuous grow. But it's the one 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's kind of how I explain what how I continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to explore those ups and downs. But first, let's explore that step in, that decision to leave your secure 9-to-5 job, which paid well, that was giving you a great lifestyle, but you wanted more. And that more was calling you in the form of your meal prep business and your clothing business, more freedom, more space. And you stepped in. So let's talk about that step in, like the resistance you faced and just how fear has appeared alongside you on your journey and how you use fear as an ally, your relationship with fear since then.
So that's a good point. Fear is a huge part of growth, a huge part of, taking these, of rolling the dice and taking these chances. Of course, you're always going to be scared. I always speak of fear, but I remember, it's actually funny, a year before I left the car industry, I was thinking of leaving the car industry as well for my clothing and my meal prep. I didn't have any art going on at the time, like I said, but I had already had these thoughts of leaving. I guess I've always been driven and confident in what I've done or what I do, I guess, in my entrepreneurial, I've always wanted to do my own thing. I've always wanted to, like I said, I've started little businesses, little fun, little small businesses. I used to do plastic dipping cars, and so I've always had these little things that I've always wanted to do and grow. So there's always this motivation, this drive to want to grow your own thing rather than work for somebody. As much as it's great to collect this paycheck every 2 weeks, you get a paycheck, all these perks with the cars and benefits and all that great stuff. This part inside of you really would rather do it yourself and do something yourself and be proud of, of growing something from scratch and evolving and growing it. Right. So there's always this spark inside of me wanting to do that. And that's kind of what made me, it was really tough. I stayed another year until I actually left. And then I finally jumped, and it was, I'll be honest, it was the first month or two, but for sure the first month there was instant thoughts of regret. Do I get back into the car industry somewhere else because they're probably not going to hire me back? Do I get another job somewhere? A few months of not making too much money, of having a good month, a bad month. Do I get another job that can have more flexibility? Because the other job, I didn't have a lot of flexibility. I was there 6 days a week, right? So do I get another job to supplement and help grow my 2 businesses that I'm trying to grow? So that's, there was that negative, there's that fear, there's that, the fear was to jump initially. Do I jump? I talked to some other friends, successful friends that started their own businesses, and they told me, make sure that you're making as much on your business than you are at your job, because once you're making that much, then you can leave that job and continue to grow. I was not making that much. I was making barely any money at the time on these side jobs than I was at my job, but I still jumped. So that was even harder, because I do agree. I mean, before you jump, you should have that new business or something established enough that it makes sense to leave your old job, and so that financially you're still okay, because you don't want to jump into something and financially be stuck or broken and not be able to move forward, right? I mean, then you are going to crush your dream in a sense. You could potentially crush your dream in a sense by not having the finances to help grow. So that was tough. But I had some money saved, and I financially I did go backwards. I spent a lot of my savings. I did go backwards initially to invest into myself, into my business, into the businesses. So again, that was an obstacle. There was a lot of fear. Like I said, there was a lot of doubt, a lot of, thoughts of regret, whether I should have done that, but I don't regret a lot. I don't like to regret anything. I like to learn from your mistakes. If that was a mistake I made by leaving the industry, then then I learn from it, and what's next. So I don't like to go backwards. I don't like to think about, fine, it's okay to say maybe I shouldn't have done this. But now where do I go from here? How do I fix this or change this better or move forward, right? So I didn't regret it, but of course there was thoughts of that. So that's the fear there. I think that's the fear to jump, the fear of failing, the fear of as I'm not doing great on my own or amazing on my own. There's the fear of failing, a fear of going like, did I make this right choice? Should I have done this? And the fear of not being able to grow and evolve and be successful, right? So there's always going to be fear, and I like it. I actually like fear. I mean, no one wants fear. No one likes fear, but I like to be in that position. I like the position after fear, after you overcome fear, right? But I think it's good to have negatives and to have these, fear and these ruts, like I speak of, and these doubts and all that. I think it's important to have that balance because you feel so much better about yourself, so much more confident with yourself. Once you overcome those things, you become smarter, stronger, more confident, more proud of yourself, right? Once you realize that you were in these really shitty, bad situations and you've past them and overcome them, right? So I don't know if that answers your question, but
absolutely. And it's a big thing is mindset, and that everything is happening for you. And by getting us inoculations of stepping into the unknown, so like you stepping in, leaving your job, stepping in the unknown to pursue your clothing and meal prep business, made it easier for when you had to step in the fear when it arose, when Stephen Hua asked you to do 15 pieces for prohibition. And the more we step into our fear, the easier it is to overcome it and to see it as an ally.
Agreed. The more you practice something, the more something is thrown at you like a punch, the more you get punched in the face, the more the more you're able to defend it and work with it and flow with it, right? And I won't get into the whole Muay Thai analogies, but the more you're able to defend yourself from these obstacles, from this fear, and roll with the punches, right? The more you're able to flow with things and know that they're going to be there, right? Someone is going to punch you in the face. You are going to have fear in front of you every time you need to go to the next level or the next step. You're always going to have fear. You're always going to have doubt. You're always going to have these obstacles in front of you. And like I said, I like it in a sense because it gets you out of your comfort zone. It makes you have to jump. And like I said, that's the only way to grow. If you sit here and you just, hide from fear and don't face it, you're never going to move forward. Right. So.
Yeah, for sure. So this leads me to my next question. So for someone listening along right now, and they're working a 9-to-5 job, or they're in a situation where their heart is feeling the pull to take them elsewhere. Some like to call this the crossroads of should and must. They're stuck on the path of shoulds, like the shoulds of society or culture or religion or parents or school or whatever are telling them, I should do this. Whereas they're feeling a longing in their heart, a must to, I don't know, whether that be be an artist, or release that piece of music, or travel to this thing, or become a yoga teacher, whatever that must is. But they're scared, they're stuck at that crossroads of should and that crossroads of must. What advice would you give to that fellow?
I mean, having that fear and having that doubt and all that, like I said, it's going to be there, and the only way to know if it's going to work and to know if you're going to be successful and to know if you're able to move to the next step and leave your job is to try. You have to. I use jump all the time. You have to jump. Now I go back to what I said earlier about the friends that told me to make sure you're financially set up for that. I think that is important, very important. I'm lucky, and I don't like using the word lucky, but I'm lucky in a sense where I was able to work with my financial situation. I did go backwards and use a lot of my savings to get to where I was, but if I didn't have these savings, then I wouldn't be able to do that, right? So but I think make sure that you are in the right position to jump. And at the same time, though, that's not necessarily true, because sometimes you might never be in the right position to jump. You might never be financially ready to jump. And so I don't think there's a right answer of when to jump, of when to go. I think you really have to believe in yourself. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to have fear, but you really just have to, even if you don't believe in yourself, just make yourself believe in yourself. Pretend to believe in yourself. You have to like convince yourself is the right way to say it, I guess. You have to convince yourself to believe in yourself. And that's what I think a lot of us understand that, but a lot of people don't understand that. Is sometimes a lot of times I don't believe in myself. I don't have faith. I'm not confident to do the next thing or this next big thing I'm going to do. But you just have to like tune it out, ignore it, and pretend that you are going to be, and then you will, if you get into that mindset, and if you, just again, envision it and believe that you're going to do it, even if the other part of you is not believing it. You just have to lie to yourself sometimes and say you are going to be successful. And so that's kind of the first step. And that's kind of, I think, how to conquer fear, is to convince yourself, lie to yourself that you will. And it's not lying, because you will do it. If you believe it and you say it enough times, it's going to happen. You are going to be successful. You are going to find a way to make it happen. So I think to answer that question again is you just have to learn to change your thought process. Yes, you will be scared. Yes, there is potential failure. You might, and you know what? Yes, you might fail, but then find a way to make it happen, to grow, to jump over that obstacle again. You might fall, but then you have to jump again, and that's okay. You left your job, but you might fall a few times before making it over that obstacle, right? And you just have to believe. You have to really want what you're thinking. You really have to want this. If you're, like you said, Derek, if it's in you and you're urging to leave and you're urging to do this, art, music, podcasts, yoga, whatever it is, if you really feel that's something that you need to or want to, or that is part of you, then you have to do it. You have to try. And then if you fail, you can go back to that job. If you can't go back to that job, you can find another job. And it's not the end of the world. I think for the most part, most people can get that similar type of job again, whether it's the same job or the same pay. You can kind of go back to that same, so you're not going to go backwards, right? So by trying to go forwards is really the only way to make it.
Heck yeah. Really well said, Pedro. Thank you for that wisdom. And so much wisdom that you've shared so far have been things that you've learned from others, different mentors and helpers that you've met along your path. Let's take a moment to acknowledge some of the notable mentors and helpers that have really left an impact on you and the man you've become. Who were they, and what were the biggest lessons that you've learned from them that you've incorporated into your being now?
That's a good question. I think I can't specifically think of anybody that I think there are a lot of people around me are my mentors, and my family, my friends. No one specific I can think of. Like I don't have a one or two or three people that are like, those are the people that helped me. I think it's all of the support combined. I take a little bit from everybody. One example I use is, I think that, again, as a martial artist, a pro fighter, or someone that's in a high level, you would think that they can't learn from someone below them, right? But one thing that I do in life is I listen to everybody. I'm not a good listener, but I listen to everyone's advice, whether they're beginners, whether they're high level, again, whether it's in the fight industry, whether it's in the art industry. You learn from everybody. And again, not everything that they say is necessarily going to be, maybe this already, maybe it doesn't work for you, but there's so much. I think if you really listen to everyone around you and you kind of take notes, you learn from kids, you learn from old people, of course, you learn from, people, all these people around you. There's so much to learn. There's so many, and it's all different perspective, different, ways of learning that might not be in your, there might not be artists, but the way they think, the way they process things, even learning from people that are negative. I don't like being around a lot of negative people, but even learning what not to do. So I don't know, for mentors, I actually, to be honest with you, I wish I had 1-3 specific people that I actually really looked up to, mentors. I look up to a lot of people, but I think I learned from everybody around me. So I don't have these mentors that I specifically look up to, but I, like I said, my family, my partner, my brother, I have a few really good friends that are really successful in their industry, that, in what they're doing. And I kind of just take these notes and I kind of learn from everybody in their own way, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Let's talk about inspiration. Is there anyone that particularly inspires you, with whether that the things that they're creating or their message that they're sharing? Who out there in the external world are currently inspiring you?
I see there's a lot of artists I watch and I follow, of course, as well, that I see growth, musicians, again, some of my friends that are growing. I think just that, seeing that growth, and again, not just in the art industry, but just seeing that, someone that you maybe not even thought would make it, someone that maybe didn't have the right path and the right surroundings to grow and to make it, to be successful. And you see them be successful, you see them grow, when they maybe didn't have the right, like I said, the surroundings to grow, or the right conditions to grow. You see them grow, you see them be successful. I think that is so inspiring to, I won't use this person's name, but there's like a rapper out there that most people hate. And I don't, he's not a likable rapper, but he's grown and he's, but I like using examples of anybody can make it. If that guy can make it, if this person can make it, so I'm really inspired when, and I spread that word a lot as well too, but literally anybody can be successful. And you just have to really truly believe in yourself and believe and really convince yourself that you will make it, and believe the words that your mind says, and spit them out. I actually speak a lot of my thoughts out loud. I annoy my good friends, and I'm sure I know I talk a lot, but I repeat myself a lot as well. And I used to not like that I repeated myself so much, because with some parts, okay, it's annoying and maybe I shouldn't repeat myself so much. And I know they heard that already, and I know that, but I just spit out my thoughts a lot, and around my comfort zone, around my good friends, my girlfriend, around, I spit out my thoughts repetitively. And, so that's a little annoying, and I feel bad for them. But when it comes to my goals and my my dreams, and I repeat them out loud, I say them. Even if it's something that I might not have right away, I kind of say, okay, I can't wait to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to create this big shop, it's going to have this, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. And I know it might not happen right away. And I don't pretend it's going to happen right away. I don't act, I don't get overconfident saying it's going to happen right now, but I envision it, and I speak it out loud to my friends. So I think going back to what you said is seeing that anybody can make it from nothing is so inspiring. And I think that's, whether it's artists that I follow on Instagram and stuff like that I saw start off as a nobody, let's call it, or as a low start, to become super successful. Whether it's a musician that we know, friends of mine that are local Winnipeg musicians that have grown enormously, that are going across the world right now to DJ. Whether it's my friend that started off with one rental property and now he's got millions of dollars of properties, things like that. So everyone inspires me in their own way. Again, I sometimes wish that I had these role models specific, and maybe if I thought about it longer, if I wasn't on the spot, if I thought about these questions longer, I probably could point out a few people. But being on the spot right now, kind of, I can't spit out some specific people's names. But I have thoughts of these friends and of these artists and these people that are not famous people, but just their own successes, their own, starting from the bottom to become to grow so enormously is so inspiring to me.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that inspiration can be found everywhere. We're surrounded by inspiration, and if we choose to allow ourselves that lens to see, and we can get inspired by everything and all. So as you've alluded to and mentioned, this is not all a journey of roses. There's lows that you've encountered, many lows, highs and lows.
Yes,
Let's take a moment to acknowledge some of the challenges. Let's talk about some of the biggest challenges on your journey. What were they? And how did you overcome these challenges? And what were your key learnings from them? So let's maybe pick a couple of big challenges. And what were the methods you used to overcome the challenge? And what were your key learnings from it?
For sure. I think at the beginning, like I mentioned, was financially the first challenge was the finances. Trying to grow your business, and when I first started doing art, it became pretty popular, I guess, in a sense, in a small version of popular within my friends and family and people, and that was great, and it helped me grow to the next step. There's obviously all these levels, and it helped me get to the next level. And I sold a few pieces at a low amount. Now that I look back, it was an extremely low amount, low price, but it was good for me at the time. And so, but then you hit this kind of spot where you become a little more stagnant, in a sense where you've done all these style of pieces, people have seen them. When it comes to social media and people kind of get bored of, I believe people kind of get bored of you posting the similar style. So I guess two challenges based on that is financially, you're not as busy or not making as much money as you would like, or you were before at the old job. So the finance is a tough one. And that's what makes a lot of people, I think, fail or jump back out of what they tried to do and go back to a 9-to-5 or whatever it is, right? I think it's financially is one of the biggest obstacles for most people, including myself at the beginning, and including myself throughout the way. There's these once you go to the next level, then boom, you hit these obstacles. Financial obstacles come up, every once in a while, right? So at the beginning, it was definitely financial, and to overcome that, I think was. I don't like using the word lucky, but I'm lucky that I did have some savings that I was able to invest in myself. So that for me helped me lots, because I started evolving and doing different style of pieces. I started to spend the money to buy these types of materials that I was using, to experiment and make specific, unique pieces that weren't necessarily being bought by anybody. I was making them for myself or to show what I could do. So to create these cool pieces, these unique pieces, that cost me money. So at the time, I was spending more than maybe I not should have, but maybe that I wanted to, right? So I'm spending this money, again, going a little bit backwards with the bank account. But I knew that investing in myself was extremely important, as we all hear that, of course. Investing that money into yourself, again, if you don't have it, it's hard to do that. But I think a huge important part of growth at the beginning of this entrepreneurial journey or whatever it is that you're doing is investing in yourself, whether it's financial or something else. But in this case, financially, I had to spend the money to create these unique pieces to show people what else I can do. So that was a little bit of an obstacle. But I truly believe that when you invest in yourself, again, whether it's obviously time-wise and learning, but financially, if you invest in yourself, you will get the returns back in the future. So that was a tough one, but it worked. Investing in yourself helped me grow, helped me kind of get to the next level. But also, like I said, making these pieces, trying to make pieces and collaborate with people was important to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm. So, and I have a few questions that come from that, but you mentioned lucky a few times, and I think you've created your own luck. And I think
Go ahead, sorry.
No, yeah, we could expand on that
I
if you
don't
wish.
I don't like using the word luck. I believe that luck is when opportunity and preparation meet. So
Yeah.
if you're prepared, if you're mentally prepared, physically prepared in the sense of you've practiced, you've done everything right, you've put in the time, put in the hours. So when you're prepared to cross that opportunity that comes to you, that is what luck is. So I think
Yeah.
too many people use the word unlucky, and I've actually been, sometimes the word luck, like I've used a few times, comes to mind, and I stop and I'll say, I don't like using this word, or I sometimes will stop using the word lucky and I'll say grateful, and I'll say, because I don't think there is luck. I guess there is luck in this world, but I don't like using it. I don't believe there's true luck in this world. I think that everything, that luckiness and luck is created by yourself, is from yourself. So like I said, I've prepared myself. I've, put in the work, put in the hours, put in the time of learning, watching people, doing all this stuff. And when this opportunity crosses you, you have to catch it at that same time. You have to cross it. If you don't catch that opportunity and you're prepared, you still won't have that luck. So that's
And
why
someone else will get lucky.
super important to understand that, because too many people use the word luck. Oh, I'm just lucky. It's the only reason I got this, is I'm lucky. And that's not true. You got that because this opportunity crossed you and you were prepared to jump on that and use that opportunity. And so too many people don't give themselves the enough credit. So I lately have not been using the word luck, avoiding the word luck, and saying that I'm grateful to have this opportunity to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, I like that visualization of the opportunity coming and you preparing yourself to grab it. So you're preparing yourself. You've been preparing yourself.
Because that opportunity crosses fast. And if you're not prepared, if you're not jumping on it at that right time, you're not going to cross and have that luck. Right. So that's important. That's, people don't understand that is you have to be prepared, always be prepared, ready to jump, ready to, like, I wanted to jump at certain levels, at certain things, like I said, I use the word jump of taking these chances, of trying new things. And I've wanted to jump many times. I've been ready to jump many times, but I haven't. And sometimes you regret it, or sometimes you feel like you should have, which is true as well. Sometimes you should have jumped and you didn't catch that opportunity. But sometimes it's for the reason, because now that right opportunity did cross. Maybe the other opportunity wasn't the right one, and this one crosses and jumps. So it's kind of a tough one to say which one is right. Maybe that last one you should have got on as well, and you didn't. But I think everything kind of happens for a reason. I know it's kind of cheesy saying that, but it's true. Sometimes if you miss that, you learn from missing that, and you know to jump on the next one. And but you have to be prepared. You have to be ready to jump on that opportunity, and that's what too many people don't understand.
Yeah, and it's always happening. It's always happening for us if we choose that. If we choose that to be. So let's take a moment to talk about creativity and how you cultivate creativity in your world. Bianca, do you want to elaborate on that question? I know you're very curious about the creativity process.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I'm inspired by art all over. So I imagine that it's super unique for all artists, how you get your inspiration, how the process unfolded, how you create something self-sustainable for yourself. There's so many questions and you're inspiring me so much already. Derek and I were talking before this podcast, and we talked a little bit about the resistance you feel within yourself. And maybe something I'm a little bit curious about is I imagine that the experience of an artist is so unique for all people. And we talked about the resistance and the polarities maybe that we experience within ourselves. I'd be curious on a personal level, how do you hold space for yourself when you experience all the polarities, and how does that express in your art? Do you use that resistance to create? How do you make it work for you?
That's a good question. I think this creative part and the creative question goes back to kind of what you mentioned earlier, Derek, about the ups and downs and the ruts and the obstacles again. Being a creative, so I'm a very creative person. My mind, of course, is very creative, and but with that comes a lot of blockage, a lot of emotional ups and downs. I'm a very positive person. My life is amazing. I'm super happy. I'm super grateful for everything I'm doing. But of course, there's lots of ups and downs, right? So as I'm feeling amazing, feeling on top of the world, one day I might just feel complete bottom, right? So very high extremes. I have a lot of energy. I'm very loud. I'm very, I talk a lot. I'm very excited about everything. Again, that's kind of why the emotions are there, very emotional type of thing. But again, when I might be super high, super up, but then when I'm down, I'm really low as well. And so that's kind of the tough part as an artist, as a creative, is balancing the two, or not even balancing the two, but handling the two, right? Is kind of, so, and that's the tough part. And that's, again, what I spoke about a little bit earlier is understanding, accepting. That's one of the biggest things I think I've done a lot of, is accepting the way I am. Sorry, am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I joke, and in a positive way, I say I'm fucked up. I'm a fucked up dude, but in a positive way. Like I'm so happy, so proud of myself. But I joke that I'm a crazy guy. Like I bounce off walls. This is me. This is me. And I joke all the time that I bounce off walls. Like you come in the room and I'm boom, 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 boom off of every single wall. So lots of energy. When you talk to me, I'm literally, my hands are talking, I'm all over the place. Awesome. But again, when I'm down, I'm also heavy down. I just don't want to do anything. And it's not that I get sad. We all get, I get sad sometimes too, of course, but I'm dragging my feet. I don't want to do anything. I don't know. The creative juices aren't flowing. Right. So that's the tough one. And I'll kind of get to your question in a second, but I guess it's just, understanding your body and your mind, and that you are, and again, it comes back to, accepting that that's who I am. That's the way I work. I'm going to have these down days, and some days it's a full day. Some days it's a full week. So I've gone, like Derek, you mentioned earlier, how do I not do anything sometimes for, some days I don't work for a couple of days. And it's not that I don't work, is I'll get to my computer, I'll get into my shop, I'll get it, and I just, I don't want to do anything, right? It's weird. And then some days I'm going boom, day and night, nonstop. I'm in the zone. I can't wait. I'm not going to stop. I don't go out. I just create. So it's that balance. That's the balance, to understand that some days I'm going to do nothing, and I'm not creative, and I'm not inspired, and I'm not motivated. And some days I'm not stopping. I'm going and I'm bouncing. So how do I get creative? How do I get the juices flowing? I don't know. I don't really have a way. There's no specific way. I think I try to, like, if I know I think pressure helps me as well. It's kind of, I notice that if I have projects that are due, in a sense, if I have this piece that has to be done by a certain date for someone's birthday, or I promise them to be done by a certain day, or it's for a business that has to be done by a certain day, the pressure helps me work as well. I think if I have too much flexibility and too much freedom, that's a discipline part of me. So I'm not very disciplined, unfortunately. I'm motivated, I'm driven, but I don't have a lot of discipline. That's probably one of my biggest flaws, I guess, or one of my needs, parts of me that need some work, is to learn to be more disciplined. But once I have this deadline, and I know I need to do this within 2 weeks, or I need to do this within 5 days, or whatever it is, that helps me get focused. So I'll sit down at the desk, my laptop, and I'll kind of start creating and designing and whatever this piece is. And I think the more that the deadline comes to, the more pressure there is on me, the more I work. When I have a lot of pieces piled up and I have to do these 10 pieces by, a month and a half, 2 months, that pressure starts to build up, and I know I have to get them done. And then I start to create. It's kind of weird. It's almost doesn't make sense, right? It's almost opposite of what you might think, right? You would think, well, the pressure, sometimes when you're relaxed and you're all creative, juices are flowing. I'm kind of opposite. I think, because of my discipline, I guess, because I'm not disciplined, having that pressure, that thing behind me going, you have to do this, let's go. So then I kind of sit down, and once I get into the zone, then I'm flowing. And once I start flowing, I know I can't stop. And I might take some breaks and I might take this half day off to go do something or whatever it is. But I know I have to go get back to the studio to continue to work, to finish this job. So that helps me. But being relaxed as well, not being stressed, not having that anxiety of having to finish these pieces, being more relaxed does help you create a little bit more as well. It does help you flow a little bit more. Obviously, having that stress on you, that pressure sometimes might force you to kind of create stuff that isn't as natural as well. So that's not a good thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there's no real, you would think like this artist, is he going to tell me that he smokes a joint and relaxes and gets in his zen, turns on this music and he gets in that zone. A lot of my friends say that. Oh, you must just play this type. Yeah, you must just smoke a joint and play this type of music and just get in your zone, right? I'm like, not really. It's weird, so I mean, don't get me wrong, I do listen to some music and but there's not a specific way to do it. I don't have the right formula. I kind of just, once I'm in that zone, then I get flowing.
Yes.
I don't know if you have any questions based off that, but that's kind of, I think, yeah,
it gives me good insight. Thank you.
Yes, that was really well said. Another thing I'm really excited to talk to you about is reinvention, the concept of reinvention. You reinvented yourself as an entrepreneur many times. You started with plastic dipping for cars. Reis started as clothing before it evolved into art. You had a meal prep company. And so let's just talk about and even with your artwork, there's been a total reinvention, which you kind of talked about having to reinvent yourself to keep people interested and to keep yourself interested and keep that creativity flowing. So let's talk about what reinvention means to you, and also when is it time to kind of end the project, end the phase, like for example, the plastic dipping cars, to like, okay, I've learned what I need to learn from that, or I've learned what I need to learn from the meal prepping company, and it's time to evolve to something else, to let that behind so I can create space for something else to grow.
Mm-hmm. Good question again. Certain things kind of have to come to an end, to answer your question about when to end them or when to jump to the next or let someone go. With the plastic dipping, it wasn't that I necessarily wanted to drop it. It's when I started my job at BMW. So it was kind of one of those, I have this new career, this new job. I kind of have to let that go. It was kind of one of those things. And it's fine because this new job paid well and it was my new, my new thing. I was really excited about it. So I didn't need that plastic dipping as well. But don't get me wrong, a lot of times I thought about it and I kind of, being this driven entrepreneurial mindset, I always kind of I try to hold on to things. So, but I let that one go. With the meal prep, that was when I started doing the art. So I did the meal prep and the clothing at the same time. The art came in. And when I say came in is when I started to kind of experiment with some more paint and stuff like that. And then I started doing the art for actually it was before I think it was at the same time of Prohibition, around that time. And I kind of, as I was doing all three, I realized that, okay, I'm doing the meal prep, which is doing okay, some weeks good, some weeks not. I had the clothing line, and I had the art, and the artwork kind of went hand in hand with the clothing line because it's Ray, and I kept it under the same bracket. It was clothes and it was art, but it was Ray Clothing, Ray, and I changed the name to Hunter Ray Studio. So that was kind of its own thing. And then I had the meal prep. And as I'm doing both of them, I realized that I'm spending this time doing this meal prep. I'm taking orders, and it was a one-man job at the time. Previously I had a few people working with me, but now that I'm on my own, I can't afford to pay people. I have to do it all myself. So I'm spending all this time with the meal prep, and I'm trying to grow my art. And as the art got bigger and I started to get more orders, I realized I had to, as much as I love to have 2, 3, 4 things on the go, I love juggling. I want to do everything. You can't. And it's not that you can't, but you have to decide what's more important, where you want to focus your energy. You have 100% energy to give. If I'm giving 50-50, then this is only getting 50% of my energy, right? If I'm getting 60-40, this is only getting 40% of my energy and my time. So you have to decide, can you hire people to give that energy to? Sure, but then it's costing you money. So I'm not saying you have to drop something, but I made the decision that the meal prep was doing okay. the art was starting to grow. My passion was more in the art. This was more of just a business that, great. It's an income. I liked doing it, but it was more of a business opportunity. So I dropped the meal prep to really grow the artwork, to focus 100% with the clothing and artwork. So then I said, okay, meal prep has to go aside. I turned it off. I turned it off in a sense where the tap could still be turned on at the time, and it still could be turned on in the future if I really needed it to. But my analogy is I turned the tap off, put it aside, and I focused all of my energy and my time on Ray, on my clothing, my art, mostly the art, but still did a little bit of clothes, some hats, some custom shirts, some custom jackets. So that was together under one roof, right? So I focused all my energy on that, and now it's just Ray Hunter Ray Studio. I changed the name, and I just focused all on that, and that's the best thing I ever did. As much as I always used to, and I still think about the meal prep company and what it could have been and what it can be, can I hire somebody to run it? Then it's still my energy, and maybe in the future I could do it again, but it's still my energy focusing on that, to train somebody, to get somebody. So I focused all my energy on what I'm doing right now. And personally, it's the best thing I ever did, because now I know that I'm putting everything into it. And I know that if I had some energy, 20%, 40% into my meal prep, I don't know what I couldn't be confident in knowing that this Ray clothing artwork would be at its full potential, because I wouldn't be giving it my full amount of time and full amount of energy. So now I know that I'm at its full potential, because it's all on me. I'm giving it my energy. It's up to me now.
Yeah. A lot of wisdom shared. One other question that I'm very curious about, and I know it's something that fuels you, and it appears in a lot of your artwork, and that is love. One of your taglines used to be "Spread love." From your journey, what have you learned about love? What does love mean to you, Pedro?
Love is, so it's actually funny that you bring that up, and I don't know if I can answer that with the right words, but it's funny you brought that up, because earlier today it just crossed my mind, the word love and what love means, and how I've been telling more people that I love them lately. And it kind of made me think that, a lot of people don't use the word love as much, and you would only love your close friends and your family and your girlfriend or wife or husband. And you wouldn't tell, more of an outsider or more of a not as close of a friend that you love them, right? It's this, you care about them. They're friends with you, but I think my point is, I have love for everybody, and love is so important to understand what it means, and I can explain what it means, but it's caring for people. It's wanting the best for everybody. It's wanting to help them grow. It's appreciating what they do. I don't know. I can keep going, but I think it's important to understand that love. I always say spread love. Like I said, part of my slogan and part of my things is spread love. Too rare to die. But spreading love is so important, because this world is, not to be negative, because obviously I think the world's amazing and there's so much good in this world, but there's a lot of negative in this world. There's a lot of negative people. There's a lot of toxic. There's this world is very toxic as well, right? It's that balance of the good and bad. This is life, right? This is life. So to understand, I think to move forward and to really appreciate and be grateful for life, you have to understand that with the good comes the bad, right? With this love comes this hate, comes the negative people. So I guess my point of this is I really want to spread love and help infect more people with more love. And I think it's not used enough. I don't think people tell each other that they love each other enough. I don't think they, like I said, I used that example earlier, how I tell a lot more people I love them more often now. Like more, of course I tell my family, and of course I tell my close friends and my girlfriend and my, of course I tell them I love them, but I'm starting to use the word more, that hey, love you, bro, love you, more often, because I think it's infectious. And I think it's it means a lot. It feels good. It feels good to hear that. And I truly mean it. Like, I actually have love for everybody. I say that I have love for, I don't want to use this as but I have love for people in my past that I don't talk to. I have love for this friend that kind of did me wrong, or that we don't talk very much, and I don't really want it in my circle. I don't want to maybe talk to them. I don't really want to be around them because they're very negative, but I still love them. Your exes, let's say, for example, I still have love for them. Maybe I'm not in love with them, but I still have love for these people that were part of your life, right? And so I think I like I think more people need to use the word love and understand the word love and incorporate it more into everything they do. So that's kind of why I use spread love and I use love so much in everything I do. I think it's so important and underrated in a sense, right?
Yeah, no, so well said. Thank you for sharing that, Pedro. This gets us to our final questions. We close every episode with a couple of questions that every guest, and we're at this point. And the first one is a big one. And that is, throughout these highs and lows that we've discussed, what do you feel has been your greatest life lesson that you've learned on your path that you feel called in this moment to share?
Ooh. And you said greatest life lesson?
That you feel called in this moment to share. Maybe there's lots, but in this moment, just based on the conversation we've had, what do you feel has been the greatest life lesson that you've learned on your journey that you care to share with everyone listening?
I think it's something that I've said many times, that you've probably heard me say, that I've probably said already today, is, and again, it's cheesy, and I'm a little bit of a cheesy guy, but I mean this, I truly mean this, is that you really, I believe anything is possible, and to an extreme, to a level, but you are capable of doing almost anything you can think of. And we have so much doubt in ourselves. We too many people don't understand that if you really believe something, and even if you don't believe it, if you just tell yourself, repeat it to yourself, and repeat it over and over. Like I said, my goals, my dreams, I kind of repeat out loud, and it's crazy how they start to come true. I repeated this X thing 5 years ago, 20, 30, 50, 100 times. Now it's finally coming. It might happen only after 5-10 years. It might only happen after, it might happen after 6 months, after 2 months. But I think really believing in yourself, really understanding that the world is a weird, our bodies, our souls, our minds, this world, it's pretty crazy. Too many people don't understand that you are capable of doing almost anything you want to do, and you just have to put your mind to it and really chase that. So I think that's one thing I've learned, is that I think anything that I can envision, anything that I can see being somewhat realistic, even unrealistic, is there. It's right there. It's not far away. So now I'm starting to not to get off topic here, or not to get make the story too long. I don't have a vision board, and I always wish I know I need a vision board, and I've been meaning to create a vision board, but I have a vision board in here, right? So in my head, there's this vision board, there's these goals, and I'm almost sometimes I joke that I'm embarrassed to say that I haven't created a vision board, because someone like me, how have I not created a vision board to envision what I want? But again, in my head is all these little. So I think once you start to really envision these things, even the unrealistic dreams, those really big, massive, crazy dreams, they're not far away. They're right there. And I think if you put in the time, you really just repeat those goals to yourself, repeat those dreams to yourself, repeat them to your friends, to your family, to your girlfriend, to your wife, to your husband. Repeat them. They might say, okay, I heard it a million times, and that's okay. Repeat it another million times. It will start to happen. And that's I think the biggest thing I've learned, is to really just speak and say it out loud, even to yourself, even in the mirror. And I think you start to realize that it starts to happen.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful. And that takes us to our final question. And we've spent a lot of time revisiting your past, seeing how you got to where you are today. And I'm going to play with some magic. I'm going to fast forward us in the future. I'm going to fast forward us in the future, in a time where we're alongside an 85-year-old Pedro Reis.
Oh, wow.
Who is this 85-year-old man? Who are you surrounded by, Pedro? Where are you? What are the feelings that dominate your experience? And what is the legacy that you've left behind?
That's a good one. I won't even say, I was going to say, I hope I make it to 85, but let's just go with yes. When I'm 85, I like that one better. So when I'm 85, by the way, I'm actually going to move here. I'm so sorry. My battery's dying. So give me 2 seconds and I'll answer that question just so that I don't lose you here. Plug here. Sorry about that, guys. So I think when I'm 85 years old, when I'm 85 years old, I hope, I would think, and I would be confident to say I will have a lot of wisdom, a lot of life experience, a lot of, like, I think already at the age of 39, I turned 39 yesterday. So at the age of 39, which I used to think was really old, which I feel super young. I feel younger than ever almost. But I think at the age of 85, I'm gonna have a lot of experience and a lot of positive, advice for people. And I think I'll be really excited to kind of share my stories and help other people grow and help other people evolve in their journey. I think it's so important to help people understand what's possible, what's capable, what you're capable of doing. There's so much potential in all of these, in everyone in the world, that is being almost wasted because they don't have that courage to jump. And so I think if I can help people understand that it's all right there for you, that will make me really happy. I'll be really happy to kind of share my wisdom at an older age of how, if I'm already kind of being able to help people grow and help people evolve, I think. And I think at 85, that's another 45 years. So
yeah. And what would be the predominant feelings in that, man?
Definitely grateful. I would be very, 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 I'm already very grateful, but I think being able to be 85 years old, to have the life experience, even if it's a lot of negative experiences, I think just being alive at 85 years old, to be able to share my experiences, the good, the bad, and to show people, and to give them my advice on how to handle these good, the ups and downs.
So let's stay into that 85-year-old one moment longer. I want you to feel into his heart. So feel into his gratitude, feel into the abundance within him, get gotten from sharing his wisdom and his experience with so many others, the peace he has within his heart for giving it his all, for going for it, for jumping over and over again. Feel into that man. And I'm going to bring him back to the current day. I'm going to bring him back here in this infinite now. And that 85-year-old man, he sends you a message, Pedro. What does he whisper into your heart?
I think it's the first thing that popped in my head, and I'm trying to think if it's something else, but I think the first thing that popped in my head was keep going. Like, honestly, that's the first thing that popped in my head. And I tried to think about it a little bit to see if there would be something else instead. But I think it's just keep going. Like, there's so much there for you. And, nothing is stopping you. Like, truly nothing is stopping you. There will be the obstacles, right? But I think the basic thing he's going to say to me is you'll be amazed at what is there for you if you keep following it, keep driving, keep going forward. It's all there for you. Everything that you want is there.
Wow, that gave me chills, and I'm sure many listening along. So beautifully said. Current day Pedro, 85-year-old day Pedro.
Wow, it'd be pretty cool to have 85-year-old Pedro. Maybe he's up in that picture somewhere, but 85-year-old Pedro next to me would be kind of weird, but cool. I would love to hear what he has to say.
Yeah,
but I think it would be something along the lines of that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, so much shared, so much wisdom. It's been a true honor to have you on and to share your story. And I'm just going to toss it over to Bianca with her closing words.
Okay. Well, Pedro, it's been such an honor. Thank you so much. I just like to take a
You guys.
moment to reflect at the end, and I honestly feel like I learned so much from you.
Wow,
Um,
cool.
yeah, like this is super inspiring for me. I feel it in my heart so vibrantly. The value of art in in our society, and to have people like you showing us that if you take that leap of faith and you invest in yourself and you move forward and have faith, things unfold. And we need these examples. We need those role models. So thank you so much for showing us what's
Thank you
possible.
guys so much for having me and for these words. Of course, I appreciate it so much, and I'm glad
Yeah,
I can inspire and give my, I'm glad that my words and my craziness is taken well. So thank you so much, honestly.
absolutely. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
those wanting to connect with you, they can find you on Instagram at King Reis, REI, and then three S's, or at hunter.ray.studio. You're also online at hunterraystudio.com,
Mhm.
HUNTERREISTUDIO. They can check more of all the amazing things you've been
Mhm.
creating and follow as this beautiful hero's journey continues to envelop and develop and evolve.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely. To close
you.
every conversation, we bring our fist in for a fist bump, a step
Love
into the
it.
winner circle, a choice that we can all make. Boom. Thank you so much. And that is a wrap on today's conversation.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.